distinguished guests, officers of Lok Bhavan, and my dear colleagues. Today, we have with us Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla AC, an Air Force pilot who created history as the first Indian astronaut to set foot on the International Space Station. He is here with us to share his views on the topic India in Space, India in Strength, the Youth Roadmap to Viksit Bharat. Let us now begin the function with a national song followed by national anthem. May I request all to kindly rise.
अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
Now, I request the dignitaries on the dais to kindly light the traditional lamp and offer floral tributes to Bharadamba. May I invite? May I invite Lieutenant Commander Sahil Fonsa, Indian Navy, ADC to Governor for the welcome speech.
Honorable Governor of Kerala and Tamil Nadu, Shri Rajendra Vishwanath Harlekar, Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla, Ashok Chakra, and everyone present here. A very good afternoon to you all. On behalf of Lok Bhavan Kerala and Honorable Governor, I extend a very warm welcome to Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla. It's truly a pleasure for us to have you here today. I would also like to warmly welcome all of you to this session on India in Space, India in Strength, the Youth Roadmap to Viksit Bharat. For most of us, especially when we were children, space was always something magical. We've all looked up at the night sky, tried to count the stars, and wondered what's out there. Many of us have imagined what it would feel like to float in space and to see the Earth from above, or to travel like astronauts, what we saw in books and movies. Some of us may even have dreamt of becoming an astronaut, and today we have someone among us who has actually lived that dream. For the benefit of the audience, I'll briefly introduce our speaker, Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla, who was born in Lucknow. He trained at National Defence Academy and then at the Air Force Academy before being commissioned in the Indian Air Force. Over the years, he has flown aircraft like MiG-21, MiG-29, Su-30 and Jaguar as a fighter pilot and then as a test pilot. More recently, he flew to the International Space Station as part of Axiom Mission 4, where he spent about 20 days in space. It's also a matter of pride for us as Keralites that he carried with him 6 varieties of seeds developed in India at various centers of Kerala Agriculture University for experiment in space. I would like to mention that when I first spoke to sir about the event, he asked me about the audience, and when I mentioned it would be school kids and young people from colleges, he happily agreed to come. That really says a lot about him. And at a time when India is steadily expanding its presence in space through missions like Chandrayaan, Gaganyaan, this is great opportunity for students to listen to you, sir. and get inspired. Now I won't say much more because I know all of us are here to listen to you, sir. Now over to you.
Honorable Governor of Keralam, Tamil Nadu, all the esteemed guests who are present, some old friends I can say in the audience, some old acquaintances sitting here, and finally, can you hear me at the back, last row? If you hear me, please raise your hand. Okay. And finally, lastly, the future of Bharat. A very, very good evening to all of you. At the outset, I would like to express my thanks and the pleasure of being in God's own country and interacting with all of you. Like Sahil was mentioning, I did inquire with him when he said that there is an event like this being planned. I did check with him who are going to be the audience. Because frankly, my target audience is, kids who are going to design and develop this entire country. And when I knew that all of you were coming, I was more than happy to be a part of this interaction. 25th June 2025 was the day that I launched to the International Space Station on top of Falcon 9. And what has happened in those 20 days and even years preceding that, in the next 30 minutes or so, 30 to 40 minutes or so, I will try to share with you all that experience. And in some ways, I hope to carry you with me to space while you are here on ground. So let us see how successful I am. And although it is not enough time to share all the experiences and to talk about what all goes into preparing an astronaut and launching them to space and bringing them back safely, but I will touch upon some salient aspects, especially the ones which surprised me. Even after training for so long, for so many years, there were so many aspects which actually take you by surprise when you actually get launched. So I will try to emphasize on that. And in the end, I would also like to share of where we are going as a nation, especially in this field of space exploration. So before I present my talk, I would like to show you a small movie, which kind of encompasses everything that happened in this last 1 year and then 20 days when I was on station. If we talk about the crew, I was the mission pilot, my commander was from the United States. Then we had 2 other astronauts from Poland and Hungary. So this will be a short movie which will explain in a sense of what the entire mission was. So let us have a look and then we'll move forward.
Having the flag on my left shoulder, I just want Hungarian people to know that we did this. We were able to achieve this. And it completely doesn't matter for me who is in the suit. I am proud, but I just want them to be proud as well. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lift off.
Three nations, a new chapter in space takes flight. The Godspeed Export.
Welcome, Earthlings. Great.
It's an amazing feeling to be in orbit for the first time. When I looked out through the window for the first time, the view was just stunning.
Wow, what a ride it was. But when the ride started, it was something. Like you getting pushed back into the seat. It was an amazing ride. And then suddenly, nothing. It was an amazing feeling.
We also want to thank you basically thanks for everyone around the world, and every person, every team who made this beautiful day happen.
Grace crew, welcome aboard the International Space Station. Peggy, welcome back. It's a great honor and privilege to have such a legendary astronaut on board with us. And Tibo, Shooks, and Swab, congratulations on your first space flight.
Thank you to all participants. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.
I travel to space with the dreams of a billion hearts with me. I want them to live this journey with me because I feel that it is equally theirs as it is mine. Because I feel that this is truly the journey of an entire nation.
And look where we can go when we work together on common platform, common science, then sky is no longer the limit. We can explore space, we can explore science, we can explore technology and build new solutions for the future. The X4 crew came here with a purpose and a really busy agenda. This was a great mission and we enjoyed it the most. So now we will return home and we will spread the word in our countries that these things are within our reach. These things are possible even for smaller countries like ours.
It's always great to work with a bunch of professionals, which you are, but it's even more special to work with folks that have become our friends even more deeply. Thank you.
Thank you to the Axiom 4 crew. And we have splashdown of the AX4 crew back on planet Earth.
Welcome home.
I think it's really important to have these examples of people to show the new young generation that actually there are no boundaries. Your dreams, your careers, and your lives have no limits. This is what you dream of, then you can pursue.
So that was my talk. I'm finished. This is kind of a summary of what happened in the past 1 year and then 20 days aboard the station. But I will now move on to address certain aspects which were a learning personally for me, and I realized that just the act of leaving your planet and going outside, it opens up a lot of different perspectives for you. So I will try to share that with you, and hopefully some of that sticks. One of the most frequently asked questions that I get ever since I have come back is, we have so many problems here on Earth. There is poverty, there is hunger, we need to solve these problems, basic problems. Why to go to space? What is the point in going to space? Why spend so much of money in going to space? And the answer that I have is that actually when you are doing certain missions and you're trying to do space exploration, you don't know how it will help you. There are some missions obviously which are launched with a purpose, but the exploratory missions wherein you are trying to do something which has not been done before, you don't know how it will help you. But it has always come back to find a way to integrate with the society. Today when we go out on the roads, we use GPS without even thinking twice. At one point of time we didn't have GPS, it was because of space exploration and assets we have it today. On a smaller scale, the duct tape that we use, the Velcro that we use, all gift of spaceflight. The battery-powered power tools that we have, again, space exploration. Just by pursuing something which is extremely complex, you are forced to find solutions to problems you didn't even know existed in the first place. And that is why they will always get integrated, the solutions will always get integrated into the society. And then the other shift, the perspective change that happens when you travel outside is something known as overview effect. And overview effect is just an umbrella term of putting together all the feelings or all the change in how you think when you travel outside the planet, when you look at Earth from the outside. So I will show you a video, a small video. It is not complete Earth, it is a part of it, but have a look and then I will talk about how did this overview effect manifest itself for me. So what you'll see on the screen is the video of Earth. So the bottom, what you see are all the stars, and on the bottom what you see are the lights on Earth, and the top portion is the stars. And we are over South America. We'll be flying over the Atlantic, and then we'll fly over the Europe, and you'll also see moon coming in between. So now we've come over the Atlantic, and the green glow that you see, this is the air glow and the upper atmosphere because of oxygen atoms. And here you see the moon while we are flying over Europe. So when you're outside and when you get a chance to look at Earth from the outside, for me the strongest feeling was that this is your home. The planet is your home. Not a particular place, not a particular region, not a particular country, but that is home. And it was a very strong feeling. You didn't have to force it, or you do not have to sit and think about it. It automatically comes. And I've come up with an analogy over the period of past few months, because now I have been going and talking about it a lot. How do I convey it to you? How do I tell you that why is this feeling so strong? And I think the reason is that we as human beings, we want to have a sense of identity. We want to belong somewhere, to a group, to a place, anywhere. So when we are small kids and we start going to school, to everybody in school, your home is your identity. My father is so-and-so, my siblings so-and-so. And then when you leave your school, you go to a college. To everybody in college, your school is your identity, that I belong to such and such school. And you leave your city, you go to some other city, your city becomes your identity, that I belong to so-and-so city. And then if you leave your country, you go to some other country for work, your country becomes your identity. And as an extension, what happens, the minute you leave your planet and you go outside, your planet becomes your identity. And it's a very natural transition. You don't have to force it. So this was the biggest change in perspective that I had, by traveling outside the planet, looking at Earth. And when it was time for me to come back, on 17th or 18th day, I really had that distinct feeling, I will miss home, even though I was going home. So it was very odd, I would say, but this is what the feeling you get, when you look at it from the outside. Let's move on to the mission per se. Now, I have been training for this, actually the astronaut training, since 2020, February 2020. But in some sense, I have been training for this mission much before that. The training in the Air Force, learning to fly an aircraft, practicing again and again, I think all of it helps for you to, eventually land up as an astronaut. So the day, like I said, 25th of June 2025, when I was sitting inside the capsule on the top of the rocket, I felt quite confident. I felt prepared. I thought I knew this is, something that we have done numerous times before, taking off in aircraft, engaging afterburner, this is the feeling that I know. And I was more confident because in the crew of four of us, I was the only pilot, background from aviation. And then the ignition happened for the rocket. You saw the video, when the rocket was going up. So it feels very slow when you are looking at it from the outside. I had also seen launches before, but when you are sitting inside and when the rocket is going up, it is really fast. And I did not expect it. It was completely a surprise for me. It was too quick and too powerful. So all that feeling I had of preparation, of feeling confident, everything just flew away in those initial few seconds. It just took me by surprise completely. Because what is happening is that you're going from 0 kilometers per hour of the speed of 0 to 28,500 kilometers per hour in about 8.5 minutes. And these are not just numbers. You actually feel it. You feel it on your body. You feel the G-forces. You feel the acceleration. And I'll show you in a while how it, how you will perceive, how the body feels it, how you perceive it. And there is also one point I'll highlight, that we also experience G-forces in a fighter aircraft. But that is different. That is a different axis, from head to toe. It's a different axis. And in a rocket, you experience it in a different axis, through your chest. So let's have a look, and I'll talk about it a bit more once we have finished the video. So this one is how you would experience G-forces in a rocket, in a capsule when you are going launch to space.
3.0. 4GX. 5GX. 6GX. 7GX. 8GX. Switch will maintain for 30 seconds, sir.
Okay, so I'll now move on to the next one. You saw this, right? We went to the maximum and I would hold there for some time. Now look at this other one. This is the one that you experience in a fighter cockpit.
Braking profile 7G target tracking for 15 seconds now. Start track. This how your stick is live. Go for it now. 1, 2, 3, breathe. 1, 2, 3, breathe. 1, 2, 3, breathe. 1, 2, 3, breathe. 1, 2, strain hard, breathe. Maintain, maintain, very good, breathe.
Okay, so you saw both the different aspects. So if I may ask all the kids who are sitting here, which one did you feel was more difficult, the first one or second one? So if you feel second one, raise your hand. Okay, and you know the value of the G force that I was experiencing was lesser in the second one. The first one was higher. First one was 8 Gs and the second one was just 7 Gs. So it was actually lesser. But that is the reason that in a rocket, you recline the seat and you experience it in the first way, the axis through the chest. Because there is a possibility that your body may experience close to 18 to 20 Gs if there was a problem at a higher altitude. And your body cannot sustain the second axis, which is provided. Now, why do I mention this specific aspect? There are two reasons. One, it is to highlight that it is actually challenging. Doing all this, looking at numbers is one thing, but physically you feel these things when you are actually getting launched to space. And the second, even the smallest or slightest of aspects make a huge difference in space flight. It is called rocket science for a reason. It is not just this, the engines and everything, but every small thing matters. It plays an important role. But after all this dynamic exercise of launch, 8.5 minutes, you get inserted in the orbit and you are in space. And if you remember from the movie that I showed you, while we were speaking, one of my colleagues was positioning a soft toy behind, floating duck in the background that you were seeing. So the minute you get inserted, it is absolute silence. There is no struggle, there are noises, but it is so drastic change from what was happening to what it is now. So it is absolutely silent. And then you gradually start lifting in your seats and you start floating, even though you are kind of harnessed and strapped, but you are not sitting on anything, you are floating. And out of all the things that space is, if I have to highlight just two aspects. First, it is a lot of fun. When you get to space, you can do things that you can never do here. I always wanted to do somersaults and front flips and back flips here on ground, but I could never do. But I can tell you I'm an exceptional gymnast in space, and all of you are as well, even without knowing you personally. And the second aspect that gets highlighted is that space is very disorienting. So if I was to ask all of you, where is up, where is down, you would immediately tell me. If I tell you to close your eyes and tell me, you would still be able to tell me. Upside down, any which way, you will always be able to tell which is up, which is down. Because the gravity is always acting down, and it's always a direction, it's a compass. But in microgravity in space, it just vanishes. So you lose your sense of direction. You cannot tell what is up, what is down, what is left, what is right, just completely vanishes. And the concept of space also changes. We call ourselves three-dimensional beings actually. We are three-dimensional creatures, so to say. But all of you, if you look at this hall also, all of you are sitting on chairs. I am standing here, all of you are sitting on these chairs. Nobody is hanging to the side walls or hanging by the ceiling, floating in space. So when you get to space, your mind is tuned from Earth. This is what it is tuned to. So I remember my second day, I was going across a module in the station, and there was a NASA astronaut who had set up her entire experiment right in the center. And I looked at her, and there was, as per my mind, there was no space. So I was waiting to cross. If she will finish, and then I will go. And then this other astronaut, she comes to me and she says, "Shuks, what are you doing?" And I say that I want to go the other side, but I cannot go because there is this astronaut who has set up her experiment in between. And the one who had asked me starts laughing. She holds my hand, she takes me to the ceiling of the module and tells me, "Walk here." And that is the time that, shift happens in your mind. Okay, this is not a restriction. This is how you use space. It is, you don't have to walk on floor. You can walk on ceilings or you can walk on walls, wherever you want. But that shift is required, that change is required for your brain to get used to this new concept. Similarly, the concept of microgravity itself is also very interesting. So I'm sure all the kids sitting here would be aware that it is not that we don't have gravity in space, we have gravity. But because you are in a free fall around Earth, you don't feel gravity, you don't experience gravity. So everything is falling. The station is falling, I am falling, every equipment inside the station is also falling at the same time. So nothing falls relatively. So if I was to hold this mobile and I let it go in space, it will stay here. It will not fall with respect to me because it is falling, already it is falling. But again, your mind doesn't know that, you have gone from Earth. Okay. So the initial few days, I would be very hesitant, skeptical to let anything go. If I have to leave something, I would search for someone around and I would ask them, "Can you please hold it for me, while I finish this?" And if those someone were from my crew, the first time flyers from Poland or Hungary, who were also flying for the first time, they would actually, hold it also and stand next to me. So they are also floating in air, I am also floating, the mobile is also floating, but they would still hold it and stand while I finish something and then hand it over to me. Because it takes time for your mind to get used to this concept. But what actually happens is this. Look at this video and then we'll talk about it more. Let's change that. आप किसी भी चीज को निकाल के ऐसे ही कर सकते हैं। So you saw how easy it is to let go of things and they will still stay there, they don't fall. It is only about after a week you get comfortable with this idea, and then your brain gets used to this idea, and then over a period of time you will become extremely comfortable that it's okay to let go of things. By the end of it, by 14th or 15th day, I was leaving 10 different things and then doing my work and collecting them again. The problem is that you get comfortable with this idea in space and you come back to Earth, and here it doesn't work, as all of us know. So I remember the first evening when I splashed down, I was sitting on my bed and I was replying to a lot of emails. At some point of time, I really got frustrated because there were so many of them. I closed my laptop, took it to the side, and I left it. So clearly, it doesn't work here on Earth. It works only in space, but it takes time. The learning curve, although on ground, is very quick because the laptop actually fell down on the ground. So it was a very hard lesson. But it also highlights an aspect, if you would choose to believe it, that your brain is really very powerful. It can make you believe things which are not really happening around you. They are not actually happening. So there is gravity here, I know it. But even then, my brain convinced me that it is okay to let go of this laptop. When you go to space, things will not fall. You know it theoretically, but your brain is telling you it will still fall. So it really is a powerful tool. And why I say this to all of you is, it just doesn't apply for this concept of physical phenomena, gravity being there or not being there. It also applies for something that you want to do. If you can convince your mind or convince your brain that you want to accomplish or achieve something, you will find a way. And I'm telling you, you will definitely find a way. You have to convince it here first, to your brain. It's a skill. Try honing it from today. The third interesting thing about space that I would like to tell you is the concept of weightlessness. You know, there is no weight in space. Everybody is zero. You know, you don't have weight. You have mass, but you don't have weight. So when I spoke about this to certain people after coming back, especially in Lucknow, when I went back to my city, they were very happy. They said that we are definitely meant for space. And after saying that, had 2 more sweets and said that it doesn't matter, you know, how much we eat, because finally we'll weigh nothing when we go to space. This property of space actually allowed the construction of space station. The modules themselves are heavy. The entire station weighs around 420 tons. Individual modules are very heavy. The payload racks are very heavy. The equipment is heavy. And it is possible for you to just lift them with your hands and put it together. You can do that because there is no weight. So this is one of the biggest reasons why the assembly was possible in space. So have a look at this video. This will demonstrate this aspect very clearly. But the person you see in this video was my commander, Dr. Viksit, who is the most experienced American astronaut today, male or female. She has spent, I think, almost 695 days in space in total. And we used to joke, we used to tell her that she breaks the record of some of the satellites that have been launched, and maybe they should have an orbit named after her in space. So have a look, she's moving a big heavy bag, which is actually bigger than her size. And I'll let you guess what is inside this, but see how easily she is able to move this.
Be very careful though, because you have to control the mass, so you don't go too fast, because it can get away from you. What is it that we have to do this bag? Oh, incredible bag.
Oh, wow.
So you saw how much of weight that was, or mass that was, not weight actually. But it is possible, you know, with 2 fingers she was able to move this entire bag. Our evolution, humans have evolved in the environment of gravity. We've never seen anything without gravity. And so when you reach the environment of microgravity, your body undergoes a lot of changes, physiological changes. First thing, all the blood from your legs, it shifts up because there is nothing pulling it down. It shifts up, it goes to your head. You can see the image on the screen. The image on the right is second day on space, and you can already see my head, it is swollen up. It is because of all the fluid shift that has happened to my head. Your heart also reduces in size and volume because it doesn't have to pump blood against gravity to your head. So it reduces, it shrinks in size. You become taller in space, you grow in height when you go to space because gravity is not pulling you down, so you actually become taller. I was very excited about this particular property, that I will gain some height, you know, when I get to space. And I did. I gained about 5 centimeters of height while I was there in space. But the problem is that when you come back to Earth, you know, you come back to your original height. So it's not a lasting change that you get. You get back pain twice. One when you are increasing your height and when we are coming back. I mentioned to you, everything is floating in space. You cannot sit, you cannot stand, you cannot lie down on some surface. It is not possible. Everything is floating. And so is everything inside your stomach also. So you feel full, you don't feel hungry at all. I did not feel like eating for first 3 or 4 days, absolutely nothing. I had to force feed myself. And then the last but probably the most significant aspect is, even without knowing it, we are always using our muscles when we are here on Earth because we are always opposing this force of gravity. All the muscles get exercised. And when you remove this force, your muscles don't get exercised at all. And you lose them. You lose the muscle very rapidly. In my 20 days of stay, I lost about 5 kgs of weight, out of which 4 kgs was pure muscle mass. It degrades very quickly. And that is why the crew which stays for longer duration on station has to exercise for 2 hours every day. 1 hour for aerobic conditioning and 1 for your muscle building, anaerobic conditioning. And then there are these psychological challenges which are there. Somebody said it to me very early in my aviation career that it must take some different type of courage to strap yourself to a tank full of fuel and light it on fire and go to sky every day. And while I found it funny, but it is true. And then it takes another level, when you sit on a rocket, because it is many magnitudes more, a controlled explosion. That reality is there in your mind. And even when you reach space inside the station, you look outside the window, Earth, it looks very beautiful. But you understand what is in the intervening space. Nothing. It's vacuum. Temperatures, if the sun is falling on you, it is plus 120. If it is not falling on you, it is minus 120. And there is no space. Radiation is excessive. So all these realities are there. And inside the station also, all the time there will be some alarm going off, some caution coming on, some warning coming on due to a faulty sensor or maybe an actual emergency, but it keeps happening. So the reality of living detached from health is very, very persistent. You face it every day. So it takes a different type of mindset to be able to go there and sustain this. And this will become even more challenging, when we are talking about going to, let's say, Moon or Mars, when the mission duration itself will extend and we will be further away from Earth, not close like we were. The other interesting aspect of my mission was that we were able to conduct science in microgravity for the first time and bring back the results. Like what was being mentioned by Sahil, there is one experiment from Kerala as well, the seeds that I took with me, which were exposed to the environment of microgravity and have not been brought back, and they are being grown for 5 generations to study what are the effects on these seeds. But I'll talk about a few which I really enjoyed. So this one was an experiment on stem cells. I mentioned that you lose muscle really fast. So the scientists wanted to see what kind of supplements we can use to prevent this or to accelerate injury repair. And if you look at the image on the right, that is how I used to do this experiment. I'm hanging by a side wall and my hands are inside this box because these were hazardous samples which are there, they cannot be exposed. So I would be in this position for about 3 to 4 hours at a stretch and complete the experiment, and then only my hands can come out. The interesting thing is that during one of the days, while I was already in position, my hands were inside and I was locked in that position, I could not move. One of the astronauts came and she put a fan next to my face. And I told her, no, I'm okay, I don't feel warm. And she said, no, it is not for you to feel warm or, cold. This fan is there so that you keep removing carbon dioxide from around your face. So again, you know this, you have read about this, you have prepared for this in training, but when you actually do stuff, you realize this. There is convection artificially created in space by fans and everything, because there is no weight, so there is no natural convection. But if you continue to be at one particular place, that convection is not enough. So what will happen, you will breathe in oxygen, you will breathe out carbon dioxide, and after some time you will have a cloud of carbon dioxide around your head, and you will keep breathing carbon dioxide. So that is why the fan was there, not to feel warm or cold. The other interesting experiment I would like to talk about was microalgae, and this one was actually simple, very simple I would say. I had to wake up every morning at 6 o'clock, there were 12 bags, deploy them all over the place with uniform lighting, and night 8 o'clock, pick them, put them in a bag and secure them. That's all. For 14 days I did just this, and I used to think that this is probably one of the most simple experiments. Till the final day. The final day I had to collect samples from this particular experiment. And collecting samples was with syringe, pull out samples. From each bag, 3 samples, so total 36 samples I had to collect. And what happens, when you are using syringe to pull some liquid out, inevitably you always have some air bubbles which come inside the syringe. And what do we do when there are air bubbles in a syringe on ground? You just turn it upside down, squeeze it a bit, and the bubbles go out, right? Because they rise to the top. That doesn't happen in space because there is no weight. So the bubbles don't rise to the top. So what you have to do, you have to centrifuge the syringe. Now, how do you extract a sample, put it in a centrifuge, take it back again, and then use it? Too complex. So what do you do instead? You become the centrifuge.
Yes.
So this is one bag which I'm trying and centrifuging, trying to separate the air bubbles, pulling out at the same time, and hoping that the air bubbles stay on the other side so that the sample is pure enough to be frozen. So let's do some math here. So how many circles did we see? Almost 8 to 10 circles for one sample, right? And I mentioned there were 36 samples to be withdrawn. So this particular day, when I was extracting these samples, if you look at the live feed of NASA video, you will find me just spinning around at the same place the entire day. I earned a nickname that day. I was called a space ballerina for that day, in this place for doing this activity, 4 to 5 hours. Then there were sprouts. We wanted to grow moong and methi to see how quickly they grow because they don't take a lot of space, and again to address the problems of food security for long duration missions. We also carried tardigrades with us, and you may be aware, but these are known to be extremophiles. They can survive extreme conditions, and we wanted to check how can we replicate that for humans and what is the effect of microgravity on these creatures, and can we find a solution for humans in the long duration missions in the future. I'll skip over these next ones and I'll jump to this. In my opinion, I took 7 Indian experiments, and I was also a part of 4 more which were international experiments. But I think the biggest learning was how to do science in space. That itself was so involved and complex that just understanding the entire life cycle of how to think, conceive an experiment, and then how to enable it for space, I think that was the biggest learning that has been brought back. And again, as we speak, these discussions are already happening for our own space station, the Bharat Reentry station, which is being planned by ISRO, and soon we'll have modules going up. So these discussions are already underway of how to create this ecosystem for our own self to conduct science in space. I usually give this presentation to kids or slightly young adults, and I'm coming from National Defense Academy where I graduated from. So I inserted a specific video for that place, but I would like to show you. Like I said, I am an exceptional gymnast in space. So I will just show you this inserted video of how easy it is to do gymnastics in space. Actually, it is not easy, I would be honest with you. This took a lot of tries. You can go in any direction, in any projectile way. So you have to be really careful of going straight and doing what you want to do. So this was after a lot of tries, but this is possible. You can do this in space. So for all the 4Gs, XNDAs, this is a white demo of front roll that you can do in space. So after 18 days of staying on station, it was time for us to come back. And 2 days before coming back, the preparation starts. You start packing everything, collecting your science samples, freezing them for return, all these things, all these activities start. And by that time, I had really become comfortable with the concept of space. Probably one of the best things, we're totally disconnected from the rest of the world. You hardly used internet. You were not using internet. Mobiles were being used only for experiments, nothing else. The only connection I had was speaking to my family, on a daily basis for some time at the end of the day. And it was very peaceful. Just do your work, your focus, you look outside. It became really comfortable and very peaceful. So much so that at some point of time I did not feel like coming back. I wanted to extend that stay, if it can be for longer. But you do have to come back. So when you do have to come back and drag, and also a lot of heat. So when you're coming back, I remember, there are 2 windows in the Crew Dragon, and you start seeing these fire streaks or fireball that, because of the friction it starts generating. And then as you move forward, it changes colors, from orange to yellow to red, blue, green, purple, all colors, all shade you see. And then after some time, it's just a sheet of this, you don't see any movement. It is that fast. And the temperatures, you're looking at that, it is almost as high as around 4,000 degrees. So it is really hot. But once you come out of this fireball, you come back in communication, and then you have parachutes deploying in sequence, which then slow you down, and then you finally come and splash down in the ocean. So we landed in the water, west coast of United States in the Pacific Ocean. And I remember when you splash down, it's a big impact. It's not uncomfortable, but it is really, you feel that something has hit you in the back, the big surface. I told you that when you go to space, your body is not used to this new environment. So you get accustomed to it slowly. By 7th or 8th day, you are totally comfortable with that environment of microgravity. So when you come back to Earth now, this becomes a new environment for you. It is different. So when you come back, like I said, you forget everything that is happening here. You cannot walk when you come back, whatever be your, perception of strength. So this is my video. Look at this. This is almost 3 hours after splashdown, but I am struggling to walk straight. Which felt really simple before going. The same thing is done. 2 hours before, immediately post splashdown, I could not even do this. I had to be lifted. You keep a leg down, earth will pull you towards itself. You will fall down. There is no way that you can stand. It is just too strong. Your body has to learn over a period of hours and days to be able to walk again. Now, in a very concise way, I have touched upon various aspects of the mission of what happens, what do we do. But now I would just like to mention where do we stand today? What are we trying to do? You may be aware that there are some missions which are already underway. Missions like Gaganyaan, which is to launch an Indian to space and bring them back safely. Then Bharat Reentry, which is our own space station, and then eventually landing on the moon by 2040. And teams at ISRO are already working very hard to make these things a reality. But these are extremely challenging missions. These are very complex missions. They are not easy. And if you look at the timeline, they will happen in next 15 to 20 years for us. And that 15 to 20 years is actually belonging to all the kids who are sitting here. So my call to you is this, that first, get excited by this, because it is exciting. I'm telling you, once you get there, you will really be fascinated of what all can be done. Become a part of this in any way you can. And then actively assume the responsibility that we have to make it happen in some ways. So pursue this, aim to reach there in any capacity. You want to be an astronaut, you be an astronaut. You want to be an engineer, be an engineer, be a researcher, whatever field. But make it a point that you feel that you have to contribute to make these missions a reality. I've talked about everything, and I've mentioned to you a lot of aspects about space flight. But there is the most asked question about space flight I have not touched upon till yet. And this question started actually in 1984 when our first astronaut went to space, Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma. And the question that was asked to him by the then Prime Minister was, कि ऊपर से भारत कैसा दिखता है? And he said, सारे जहाँ से अच्छा. And there was so much pressure on me to come up with something so profound as what he said, and it is hard to beat. I don't think that there is a better answer to this question. He set the bar too high. But fortunately, I had technology on my side, so I don't have to tell you how it looks. I can actually show you how India looks from space. So that is the advantage that I have. So that is what I will do, and with that I would like to end and take on any questions that you have, and I will be happy to answer them. So we will see a video of India from space. We are flying from the Indian Ocean region, and we will be coming from the southwest to the northeast direction. I will point out, we'll see the tip of India, and then we'll see cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune. But it will be a very dark video, so I don't know how much of it will be visible. Ma'am, is there a way to get these lights off? It's possible? So we'll just wait for 2 minutes. I think the experience will be better if we can switch off the light, because it's a night pass, so it is going to be very dark. You'll also see in this video purple flashes happening in between. You'll see lights coming on in between. Those are thunderstorms happening on ground. So these are lightning that you will see. And then we will cross the India and you will see the dark region that is Himalayas. And towards the end, you will see a sunrise from orbit. How it looks from the orbit. Oh, great. Yeah, now I think you can see much better, right? So let me play this for you. So the flashes that you see, these are thunderstorms or lightning that is happening on ground. And this lighted portion that you see, this is the tip of India. The bright city that you see, that is Bangalore. And on top of that is Hyderabad, and on the left is Pune. And see how, it was a monsoon season, so there were lightning all over. And the dark region that you see, that is the Himalayas. And now you'll see a sunrise from space. With that, I would like to conclude and give a message which I gave when I was coming back from orbit. That sky was never the limit, not for me, not for you, and not for our Bharat. Jai Hind and Jai Bharat. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your very informative speech. Now we have a question-answer session. I request Aviram, NCC cadet, to ask his first question. Can I bring the mic?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So it was nice listening to your experience. So my question is, in AX4 mission, you did experiments related to microalgae and muscle regeneration and growth of high protein pulses. What experiments do we intend to do in the upcoming Gaganyaan mission? And secondly, sir, I am a BSc physics student aspiring to become a fighter pilot. Is it necessary to have a degree or master's in engineering as a basic qualification to be selected in the astronaut program of the Air Force? Thank you.
So let me answer the first question. So the discussions are underway. What experiments will we carry in Gaganyaan mission? So the missions are very different. This was a mission to the space station. Space station is a big structure. There is a lot of space inside. So there is a lot of possibility of doing some really involved experiments. But the Gaganyaan capsule is actually more of a technology demonstration initially. So it will not have as much space. We will still have experiments in the Gaganyaan capsule, but they will be of a different nature. But they are all being decided right now. So there are teams that sit down based on the scientific value, based on the feasibility of that experiment happening inside the capsule. It will be decided. To the second question, the astronaut program, in the initial parts when the mission is under development, there is a requirement of utilizing the test pilots for such missions, because it's a very natural transition, because what we do as a job is to test new machines, develop new machines, and so you understand the language of the designers and engineers and you interact with them to evolve this design. So that is what is going to happen for the first few missions. Once the design is stabilized and it is reliable, this will open up to all the fields. Actually, those discussions are already underway, of what should be the framework for anybody to apply and become an astronaut in India. And so you can be a scientist, you can be a researcher, an engineer, a doctor. There has to be a path for you to be an astronaut. So it will open up to everyone. It is not mandatory for you to choose one particular field or one particular profession to be an astronaut in the future. So it will definitely open up, and I don't think there will be a restriction of sorts. Thank you. So, can you explain what are the effects of this space exploration to our future generation or future development? What are the effects of space exploration? It is very addictive. So once you go there, you want to go back. That is the effect that happens. It has on you. I mentioned some of the effects. Physiological effects, that your body undergoes a lot of changes because the environment is very different. There is a lot of training involved, because you have to learn about all these things over a period of time. And when you are there in space, there is no help. You can only talk to someone. There is nobody who can come and help you. So you have to be the mechanic, the plumber, the doctor, the researcher, the pilot, yourself, everything. So you have to learn about each and every aspect. So I think it gives you a very wide exposure. So your horizons open up a lot, but there are some physiological challenges also by being in a very different environment which are there on the body, but they are cumulative, so they build up over a period of time. So short duration, not as much. So I think that those are the major effects that I would like to highlight. Thank you.
Jain sir, I am Karen Mia from Shisharda Sainik School from 7th standard. Sir, my question is that how can we implement a swept space mission to effectively remove space debris and reduce future space pollution?
That's a great question. Actually, it is a big problem nowadays, and especially because we are launching so many things, very quickly, very rapidly, which is only going to increase in the future. So there are already, some people who are trying to find a solution to this. There are companies which are working on creating satellites which can go and capture the satellites which are defunct now and bring them back to Earth so that they can burn up. Also, there is an understanding of how dangerous this debris is. So it requires a very thoughtful and ethical exploitation of space, which is what people are trying to do by whatever is being sent is being tracked, monitored, and whatever is already there, if it is not useful, it is, people are thinking of making startups or companies which can create such systems which can bring it back to the Earth. But I think it requires both the things, policies and also technology to reduce the debris that is there in space right now. But I do agree it is a huge problem today, and if we are not careful, it will become an even bigger problem in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, sir. My name is Ranjanas Nair. I am studying in PM Sri Kendriya Vidyalaya SAP Trivandrum. Sir, I was just curious to know that did you have a conversation with our first cosmonaut, Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma sir? And if could you please share the insight of that conversation, because there may be another group captain Shubhanshu Shukla amongst us.
It is not about a question of may. I hope that there is someone, who gets triggered and goes to space. And conversation with Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma, or I fondly call him Ricky sir, I think I have been speaking to him quite a lot. Especially when I was in US before the mission. He has been very kind. He has been like a mentor to me. And so to summarize what he has been telling me would be very difficult, because we speak quite often and we talk a lot. But in a sense, I was very fortunate to have him as a guide, of how these things are, how do you navigate this, and how do you go into the future. And my respect for him only increased because when he was going, he did not have somebody like that for him. So he has been very kind, and he has always been, the right light or right beacon for me to pursue and follow. And with that being said, I'll come to the second part of what you said. I do hope that there are some people who can, come back and talk to me afterwards, when they go to space or they are going to space. And I would really like to see that happening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
James sir. So first, congratulations for being the part of Axiom 4 mission and the most coveted Ashoka Chakra recipient, sir.
Thank you.
So my question was, now you are a part of the Indian Air Force and you have been a pilot astronaut too. So what's the difference between controlling a fighter jet and a spacecraft, sir?
There are similarities and there are differences. How an aeroplane flies is very different from how a space capsule maneuvers in the outer space. So that is completely different. But in terms of philosophy of operating machines, there is a lot of similarity. It is a machine There are systems to control it. There is a human supervision involved. So the philosophy of operating these machines, it is quite similar. How do you interact with them? How do you understand what the system is doing? How do you do something when something goes wrong? All that has to be enabled. And that is what actually the teams at ISRO right now are doing to evolve this into a really robust machine. So in the way it flies, completely different. There is nothing that is similar because aeroplanes need air to fly. Space capsules are operating in vacuum. So the dynamics are completely separate. But the philosophy of operating a machine, that is actually quite similar. So it was very helpful for me to carry that training from my Air Force days into the training of being an astronaut, actually. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, sir. I am Sanjay. I am a PhD student from Digital University, Kerala. So, my question to you is, you have suggested that civilians could be astronauts other than Air Force test pilots. So, in order to become a civilian astronaut, and you suggested that there won't be much academic barriers. So, how should someone prepare mentally and physically for this mission? And also, while preparing, what are the habits to choose and what are the habits to avoid? And what should be the mental philosophy, since there would be enough barriers or people suggesting that these streams might be unrealistic at some point. So how do we suggest what to choose as a habit?
What is your favorite food?
My favorite food is actually porridge, kanni. It's
porridge?
It's actually a Kerala dish with mango pickle and all. So yeah.
Okay, maybe I don't know. I asked the wrong question to you. I have not probably eaten that. But I will answer your question in a different way. It does require, preparing for it mentally. Three aspects you have to take care. When selection happens, it will happen for your medical fitness. It will happen for your physical fitness. It will happen for your psychological or mental fitness. All three aspects will be checked for you. So the only thing that I can tell you, find a hobby or find something to do in all these three aspects, to keep yourself stable and mentally focused and physically fit and also medically, eat well, play some sports, do some physical activity on a regular basis, and also be focused at what you want to do over a period of time. You should not get perturbed by small things, anything that is going wrong. You should not take too much of worries or tension for that. That is the only thing that I can, right away tell you. Otherwise, there are going to be requirements that are going to be laid down, but you have to do this for a very long period of time. Because it is not one day. You have to do it for a very long period of time. So in a career of 20 years, let's say, on an average, astronauts fly to space for 1 year, where there are proper missions. In this may for 1 year you fly to space. 19 years is only preparation for that 1 year. So that is the kind of commitment that is required. When you get into this, you have to be in it for a very long period of time. That is all I can tell you right now. And if porridge is really good and healthy, then I would also like to try it sometime. Thank you. Are we closing?
Good evening, sir. I'm Shyamil Krishna from Wayanad on behalf of Mount Abu English School. So my question to you is, you transition from being a test pilot to an astronaut representing India in space. What is one piece of advice you would give to students who dream big but feel held back by fear of failure?
That is a very, very interesting question, Fear of failure, actually. It's a bad thing, right? Failure. We should not fail. Should we fail or should we not fail?
We shouldn't fail, actually.
We shouldn't fail. So if you don't fail, how will you learn? I'm asking you questions just because I think that this is what we get wrong. I think that there is a need to celebrate failure as much as we celebrate success. So today, I'm standing before you, I'm talking to you because there has been a success in terms of this mission, right? Everybody has seen it and it has been a huge success. But I started my career in 2002, 24 years ago. There are a lot of things that I've tried and have failed. Everybody does. Anybody who succeeds eventually in life, it is not that they have not failed. Everybody fails. So it is not a bad thing. So there should be no fear of failure. Failure always teaches you. If you learn from it and you move on to the next step. It should be celebrated actually. If you fail at something, it only means that you're trying something which you don't know. So next time if you try it again, you will be better, right? And you may be successful. If you try again, maybe you'll be successful the third time. So I think this is what I will tell you, the only one piece of advice that I can give you. If you ask me what is the path to success, I don't know. I have had my own journey, somebody else may have their own journey, and we may have very different paths. I may be doing things differently, they may be doing things differently. So there is no one path or correct answer to this question. But the only thing that I can tell you is that all the kids who are sitting there, this is what I will tell you. Whatever you choose or whatever you decide to do, the only thing that you need to follow is to not give up. You have to always keep trying. So if you keep trying the same thing several times, you will be successful in that, correct? So there will be no more failures. This is the only thing. Don't ever give up, whatever you want to do. That's all. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. I am Karthiki Krishna of Mount Tabor English School from Wayanad. My question is, sir, I have heard about the astronaut training. It is known to be very tough. Could you explain the different stages of astronaut training and how each stage prepares a person for a real space mission?
The answer to this question is actually 4 years long. So it is not possible for me to tell you everything, in just face to face. It is a long phase, a long period of training. Like I mentioned, all the different aspects you have to learn first in the classroom, then go into the simulation, then actually practicals. So you build up in stages. So again, it is very challenging, and going to the mission. So you break it down and you start with the very small things. You start with the classroom by reading the textbook in the classroom. And then gradually you build up over a period of time to become capable to actually execute such a mission. So again, it is going to be a very long answer, but it is a very long process to gradually build your ability to be able to do that. Okay? And due to the time, I think this will be the last question that we will take. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Now, I humbly request the Honorable Governor, sir, to kindly felicitate Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla, AC, with a token of love and appreciation in recognition of his valuable contribution and dedicated services. May I invite the Honorable Governor of Kerala to deliver the presidential address.
It is not an address, just a thanksgiving, nothing else. Honorable, I should say, or I should not add any adjective to his name, Shri Shubhanshu Shukla, who is group captain and who has become an icon for all of us, not only for youngsters, also for us whose hair have grown grey now. For us also he has become an icon. All other dignitaries sitting in the audience, former Ambassador Shri Srinivasan ji, our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Siza Thomas, all other dignitaries, and my dear young friends, for whom this particular program has been curated and designed from different schools, different Sainik schools, different institutions, all other dignitaries from the armed forces, dear friends, namaskar. As I said, I am not here to give you an address. I am very much thankful to all of you here who have come here just to celebrate what we have achieved. This is just not to listen Shubhanshu ji, but to celebrate what he has achieved on our behalf. Our country is taking more and more strides in every field. So space cannot be a limit to us. And space is not a limit for anybody. What he has been explaining to us is, you be prepared now for, somebody asked the question again for Gaganyaan. All of you are ready to go on Gaganyaan? So you have to be prepared for that. Gaganyaan will be a reality within next few years. And Gaganyaan will be our space station there, our first space station. So we all are contributing towards it. We all have to do that. That is why we have come together and why this particular program has been designed. And we wanted this particular program to be for the students, our next generation, our young generation. They should understand what our country is going to do now, next. How we are going to develop ourselves in every field. And that is how we are going to march ahead. That is the reason why this particular program was here. And we all are very much proud, as Shubhanshu was mentioning to us, that he had taken 6 species, 6 varieties of Kerala rice to the space. What a great achievement for all of us it is. So it is 6 varieties of rice from Kerala he had taken to the space for experiments. So we have got that connection to the space also now. So we hope that experiment should be here on our ground. That is exactly what we want. There was one more question here again. What you felt when you were in space and how you are here on ground. He aptly answered, he aptly said, yes, coming to ground is always better than anything else. So we all have to, we may be achieving many heights, we may be going to many levels, but if we are on ground, our feet are on ground, then we can achieve many things. That is exactly what he meant to say. Today's program is particularly for this, to give us an insight what has happened and to have a outlook what will be happening in next future. That is the reason the Lok Bhavan has been organizing such functions. Now 6-7 lecture series have been organized by us just to give insight, just to have a different outlook, just to make you people think again and again on different aspects of development of our country, of our people. So that is the reason why today's talk was here. Incidentally, Shubhanshu Shukla, he was here with ISRO also. And I think his term with ISRO is also getting over. He will be joining again this and going to Air Force to give us more and more experiments. Somebody asked about Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma ji. You asked him the question. It was obvious. But it was also obvious that he has been consulting him. He has been talking to him. But a person like me had an opportunity to talk to him just about 4 or 5 days back. Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma was here at Pragati Academy. I think some of the students have come here from Pragati Academy. They were to come here. Yes. He was invited there, and I had an opportunity to have an interaction with Rakesh Sharma ji. And what he had said that time, Sare Jahan se Acha, our country is beautiful than any other part of the world, any other part. Sare Jahan se Acha. And Shubhanshu has very rightly said, I need not tell you how it looks. Now you can see it yourself through all the technology. My dear friends, coming years are again for this. If we want to say, or if every world in the world everybody wants to say that India or Bharat is Sare Jahan se Acha, if everybody wants to look at India, Sare Jahan se Acha, it is we who have to work for that. It is we who have to make Sare Jahan se Acha. Then only India will look Sare Jahan se Acha. Otherwise India will not look Sare Jahan se Acha. How India will look beautiful? How India will look developed if we do not work? So we all have to work to tell the world we are Sare Jahan se Acha. That is the message Shubhanshu has given to us. That is what he wanted to say. I am very happy that all of you have come at our invitation. You have been always doing that. You always patronage this Lok Bhavan by your attendance, by your inputs, and by your support to the Lok Bhavan. I wish all of you the best. I wish Shubhanshu ji all the best in his next career so that he keep on guiding us all the time, every time. That's all. Nanni, namaskar.
Thank you, sir. Now, as we conclude the program, on behalf of everyone here, I extend our sincere gratitude to Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla AC for graciously honoring the occasion. Your esteemed presence and your remarkable achievements continue to inspire people across the nation and beyond. It has been a privilege and honor to have you with us, sir. Thank you, sir. All are requested to rise for the national song, followed by national anthem.